God, I gotta remember how to do this. Hi. It's good to be back. It almost feels weird turning this whole thing on again. Hi. How's it going? Do I sound okay? Have I been able to set everything up the way that it used to be? Also, you'll never guess. Oh my goodness, I've been craving this for so long. I can finally have another one. How I miss you so. But yeah, so much went wrong for me in the beginning. Because in the time leading up to when I had to go, I came down with something I didn't even know what it was called in English until recently. And that was acid reflux. And if you don't know what that is, it's when you get stomach acid on your vocal cords, and it sucks. And yeah, I had to travel with that and deal with that for the first couple of days. So that wasn't fun. And then during some of the practices and some of the rehearsals, because I had to actually sing, I ended up losing my voice a little bit. And then I needed to do something else that I can't. I'll talk about that a little bit on a different occasion. But I needed to do something else that was also quite demanding on the voice, and I just hurt myself so bad that I had to go mute for several days. Luckily, it lined up almost perfectly with a couple of rest days that we had, and I just completely went mute. I was just like, I'm not taking this chance. I'm not talking whatsoever. So I just stayed in my hotel room, made sure that I didn't have to talk to anyone, and if I had to do anything, that I texted. And I made sure to take a lot of hot baths to make sure there was a lot of steam. I used a humidifier like crazy to make sure that I wasn't breathing so much dry air, which also wasn't a good thing. So yeah, that was quite the struggle. So once I started getting my voice back bit by bit, I was able to start being able to participate a little bit more in the rehearsals, even though I had to abstain from singing from a lot of them. So eventually we got to meet like the amazing band that we got to play with at Overture. And during that, like that one practice that we had with the band, like before we got to practice on stage, that was, I think the reason this happened is because that was the one practice where I didn't stretch. So when we went through the practice and everything went fine, it was great. And then the next day, my legs are hurting. And they're hurting in a way that I have never dealt with before, because it wasn't... I've been sore before. Trust me, like, I've been, like, sore in my legs and my arms from moving around too much. But it was, like, painful in a way where it was the bones themselves that felt... that felt sensitive. So when I, like, lightly tapped on, like... what do you even call it? Like, the joint between my leg and my foot? I'm sure there's a name for it. It was just like, oh, even just lightly tapping it was like, ow, hurting. And then it kept getting progressively worse day by day, until eventually I was kind of limping occasionally, and I had to avoid stairs. So it was both my legs almost symmetrically hurting in that way, and I'm like, man, this sucks. So I couldn't, like, do the dance moves properly, especially a song like Democon that requires a lot of jumping and things like that. So as I started to take it more and more easy on my legs as well, and making sure that I was taking warm baths and everything, that I wasn't keeping them in cool air for too long in case I thought that, oh, maybe that'll cause my muscles to tense up, or that might be bad for them or something. I didn't know what I was doing. So it was getting... like, right, like, hours, like, not even, like, 12 hours before the show, I started feeling like, okay, maybe I can do this. If I can get through Democon, then I can do the rest of the show. So on the big day of, I took another really warm bath for my legs to, like, get them all warmed up. And then I grabbed some pain medication, popped that sucker right before the show, and went for it, and success! I made it through Democon, and the rest of the show wasn't too bad. I gotta make sure I don't forget about these caviar toasts. I miss them so. I'm sure there's even something else that I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, right. In the middle of everything, you know, me being miles and miles away from home, as if dealing with all of that wasn't enough. I made a tweet about this, which in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have kept it so vague so that people got worried. But without going into too much detail, something very horrible happened in my home country, Sweden. Something we've never had happen before. And it was kind of a shock to me because even though this stuff happens occasionally in some parts of the world, it's never happened to us. So it was something that I had to learn how to deal with in the middle of everything in a country miles and miles away. So, made a couple of phone calls, make sure that a bunch of people that I know were okay. So yeah, that was being able to get up in the morning like, okay, gotta go practice to be a happy dancy boy with that sort of constantly like hanging over you like a dark cloud. It sucked. It was not fun, but thankfully nobody that I know got affected by it, but it's still such a horrible thing to have happened, and I cannot believe that it happened in like a place that I call home. But overall, we should focus on positive things. Let's not dwell on sad things for too much because it's not much you can really do about it, unfortunately. Excuse me, I'm gonna have another little bite here.